Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to Watchbox, and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me, tmosso at thewatchbox.com, the direct service inquiry email line. It's in the box below for the questions from you to me and my crew about purchasing this watch or any you see here on Watchbox Reviews. And we're talking about the 1959-806, that is to say the Breitling Navitimer 1959-806 re-edition for 2019, 1,959 pieces, 40.9 millimeters in stainless steel, designed to recall one of the earliest and most prized versions of Breitling's signature Navitimer circular slide rule wrist chronograph. Now, the timepiece here is remarkably evocative of the original, right down to its size, dial details, its small beaded bezel, and its plexiglass crystal. So 40.9 millimeters in diameter. The watch measures a frankly reasonable 13.7 millimeters thick, considering the height of the plexiglass. From lug to lug, the watch measures a wonderfully compact and vintage evocative 48.9 millimeters, but it is modern in its spacing. With a 22 millimeter lug spacing, you can tell that this is a modern watch. It has a nice planted proportional stance on the wrist. Breitling straps have always been richer than expected, and here you can see calfskin aviator style with a contrasting binding stitch, sheer-sided construction showing the layers of leather. It is very thick. You're not being shorted the leather here. A more natural calfskin on the underside, not black, but a sort of saddle color, and of course a Breitling stainless steel, modern day, combination polished and satin finished pin buckle. This watch is remarkably fresh, as it does represent 2019 product, and as you can see, not all owners have the bravery to pull off the stickers. That is to your advantage. A remarkably fresh watch that is true to life. You can see in the case band, minimally beveled lugs that are squared off on their end, and as you can see, nicely integrated to the case flank and gently tapered, evocative of 1959. Now, it does feature a circular slide rule bezel, and as you can see, it rotates in either direction. It is essentially a logarithmic scale multiplication and division device that you can use for rapidly calculating fuel consumption or ground speed, or simply to calculate the tip as your friends fumble with their smartphones at the restaurant. Once you get used to it, you can get very fast with it. And of course, we have the beaded bezel, as would have been present on the 1959 Navitimer. The earliest versions of the watch back in 1954 featured a small bead. The bead got a bit larger moving toward the 60s, and then in the early 60s it gave way to a sort of slash cut knurling. So you can see the beaded bezel right here. The dial monotone, that is to say the registers here are black. Later on they would become silver on black for a sort of inverse panda look. And you can also note some of the vintage nods, including the long distance billing demarcations on the chronograph minutes register. You can see every 3 minutes, 3, 6, and 9, because back in the day, long distance phone calls were billed out of Europe in 3-minute increments, and thus we have those 3-minute hashes clearly marked. Now, the timepiece features lovely syringe style hour and minute hands, and you can see all of the hands are varnished white for high legibility against the black base. There is a sort of simulated radium patina on the dial. Thank goodness it's not real radium. And it also functions like superluminova, so that it has a lovely ecru simulated patina fade. It does glow like a torch at night. Also of note, you have a non-signed set of wings up at 12 o'clock on the dial. The Navitimer, by some accounts, was designed for the American Aircraft Owners and Pilots Association, and the US versions of the watch featured the AOPA wings with the AOPA logo across the center of the shield, whereas the European versions would have featured the wings and the shield but without the AOPA logo. Now, the watch has a very modern movement inside, whereas the original back in 1959 would have featured either a Venus 178 or very rarely a Valjoux 72. Here we have a Breitling in-house caliber. The watch is 30 meters water resistant. As you can see from the case back, limited edition, individually numbered. It's based on the B01 Breitling in-house chronograph caliber, but this is the B09. Rather than automatic wind, manual wind, as the original Navitimer would have been. Manual wind, 70-hour power reserve, beating away at 28,800 vibrations per hour, adjusted in 5 positions and certified as a Swiss chronometer. It also features a stop seconds or hacking function, and it features a crisp column wheel function selector with a vertical clutch chronograph engagement. So you can see the vertical clutch means there is no jump or stagger to the chronograph seconds hand when you start it. Also, if you prefer to just run your chronograph full time, provided you remember to wind your watch, with a vertical clutch you can run the chronograph full time. And of course, the original 1959 reference 806 would have featured a lateral clutch and a column wheel. The column wheel feel present and correct here remains sharp. Have a listen. I've mentioned that the B01 and its derivatives have some of the finest chronograph pusher feel you will ever encounter, up there with the El Primero caliber 400, the Rolex 4130, and the Daytona, and the Longa Datagraphs caliber 951. This is one of the best feeling chronographs you'll encounter in one of the hottest watches of recent years. One of the most faithful and sought re-edition timepieces. This is also by far the best ever from Breitling. See and own a classic in its own right. Email tmosso@thewatchbox.com. And we're back with the Breitling Navitimer 1959-806 re-edition by night. Plenty of Lume.